So, okay, but we'll act for the time being as if the child isn't social till 3, because that's a simplification, but it's a useful one. So Piaget was also extremely interested in how the child became social. And I think, apart from his ideas about, you know, the self-generation of the baby from the bottom upward, using its own reflexes and its own capacity to explore, the other thing that Piaget was extraordinarily good at laying out and remarkable at discovering was the role of games. And so Piaget was the first psychologist, I would say, who discovered just how important it is to have kids play. Now, the problem with play is that it's fun, and so utilitarian people, especially ones that are really conscientious, have this idea that if it's fun, it can't really be good for you. And so, because of that, the role of play in children was not, and still isn't, appreciated in the full dimensions of its importance. So, for example, you know, we take little kids that are in grade 1, they're like 6, you know, and what do we do with them? We put them in chairs like the ones you're in. You've been in that damn chair for like 16 years, you know. It's like we take those little characters and we put them in chairs and we expect them to sit there and listen to adults for 6 hours a day. Well, it's so idiotic that it's beyond comprehension. It's no wonder the little blighters are hyperactive, you know. That just means they're alive. They should be taken out into the schoolyard and supervised while playing until they're completely exhausted. Then they should have a little nap. Then maybe you could teach them something for a while. But stopping them from playing or not facilitating play among them is absolutely crazy, because that's exactly how children come to become social in the world. And the reason for that is that the games children play are analogs of the activities that adults engage in. Well, it's not that hard to figure that out if you think about it. I mean, think about playing Monopoly. You're a teenager, you play Monopoly. How many people have played Monopoly? Great. Everybody's played Monopoly. Well, what are you doing? It's like evil capitalist pig game, right? So, and you know, if you're going to grow up to be an evil capitalist pig, then you can get a good practice going by playing Monopoly, and you can become part of the 1%, which is what you have to do to win, right? You need to have all the hotels, and so no one else has any hotels, and you know, you play that, and it's fun. It's fun. So, it's an analog of real life. Now, it's an analog of real life in many ways, because most of the things that you do with other people involve adhering to a set of shared rules, and most of the things that you do with other people involve cooperating and competing with them. So if you're playing Monopoly, are you cooperating or competing? How many people think competing? Okay, how many people think cooperating? Okay. You're cooperating. Are you playing the same rules? Are you playing by the same rules? Well, yes, unless you're cheating. If you're cheating, you're not playing Monopoly, right? You're cheating. That's a different game. So to play Monopoly, you have to cooperate, because you have to all agree to sit in the same place. You have to agree not to steal the money. You have to agree that the stupid rules, which are completely arbitrary, are the ones that are going to govern your life for the next, 2 hours. You have to agree to try. You have to agree to try to have fun. You have to agree to try to be like a good player, which means you don't get all snivelly and whiny when you land on someone's boardwalk and they completely bankrupt you, So you're cooperating like mad. And another thing Piaget pointed out, which is absolutely lovely, is that you can't have a game without cooperation and competition at the same time. So there's no such thing as cooperative games. You have to have, for it to be a game, it has to be competition within cooperation, or it can be cooperation within competition within cooperation. These things are very complexly nested. So if you're playing hockey, for example, is hockey an aggressive game or a cooperative game? Well, you have to play by the rules. So both teams agree to that. You're on the ice at the same time. You don't bring a basketball. You don't bring a chess game. You're there to play hockey. Are you cooperating or competing with your teammates? Well, both, right? You're cooperating with them because you want everyone to win, plus you want everybody to get better at playing across time, but you're competing with them because maybe you could be the star of the game. And everybody's happy about that. And then with the other team, well, are you cooperating or competing with them? Well, as long as you're playing by the rules, you're cooperating. But there's obviously an element of competition. Now, almost every human activity has those elements. There's a body of rules underneath it, or if they're not rules, they're at least social conventions, right? They're things that people understand are allowed and not allowed. And then there's a competitive and a cooperative element. All right, so that's what children start to become particularly exposed to when they're about 3. Now, Piaget pointed out that there were, in some sense, 2 classes of children's games. There was the games that have a really clearly defined aim, and that'd be the goal. And that'd be like, in the little circles that we were talking about. That's where you're trying to go. Now, the thing about it being a game is that all of you have to be trying to go there at the same time. And so what Piaget realized was that just as the child is trying to integrate all their little micro games inside them into some sort of unified thing, which would be the child, a stable personality across time and capable of weathering the storms of life, when a group of children get together, they build another one of those routines, but it includes all of them. And so the kids might say, well, let's play hide and go seek. That's a good one. And everyone knows the rules to hide and go seek. And you can win or lose at hide and go seek, but what you're trying to do is you have to bring your sub-personalities all the way up to their integrated state underneath a meta-structure that's organized by the collection of children. So the child would say, well, do you want to play hide and go seek? And you're supposed to say, you're either supposed to say yes or perhaps posit another game. You're not supposed to freak out or get angry or say that that's a stupid game or run back to your mom, because then you're not going to be very popular and you're not going to get to play. And if you don't get to play, well, then you're ruined, because if you don't learn how to play with others between 2 and 4, you never learn. And then you're some poor outcast, and maybe you end up in jail, or at least you end up like isolated and awkward and poorly socially integrated, and that's not good. Because if you don't get into the kids' games at 3, all of them start moving ahead, and you don't. And the farther they've moved ahead past you, the less likely it is that they're going to play with you. So one of the things that's really worth thinking about if you're going to have kids is you have a job as a parent, and your job as a parent is to make your child socially acceptable, especially to other children, by the time they're 3. And if you don't do that, well, that's not very good. You'll pay for it, and so will your child. And there's been lots of long-term follow-ups on this sort of thing, and it seems pretty evident that if the kid isn't socialized by 4, then good luck. There's no evidence at all from the developmental literature, which is quite a dismal literature, that you can fix that.